Okay, hi sluts. Pussy, mind, body, spirit, soul. What is slut camp? Let's get into it. Blocked immediately. Welcome back. We're back. Hi sluts. Welcome back. I'm so excited. I hope you've been enjoying so far. I wanted to obviously start this episode with the slut affirmation. It's a good one. There's 3 topics again in this episode. The 3 topics in this episode are: number 1, being the Samantha of the group. We'll get into what that means. Number 2, are you becoming his mother? Why do you want to be his mother and how to avoid? This was so fucking interesting when I was researching because we've all been there, done that. So why not talk about it? Finally, how to implement dirty talk into your situation or your relation or your dick situation. Okay, slut affirmation. Our slut affirmation, I do have another shot. I will bring it out later. I'm gonna chug this drink and you chug yours. The slut affirmation for tonight. No tears tonight. The only thing that's gonna be wet is your pussy. Cheers. Just know. You wanna be a slip and slide? Or it's not coming from your eyes, basically. The first topic, this explains like who I am as a person. I feel like whenever you take those like little stupid millennial BuzzFeed quizzes that are like, who am I if I was in this show? 1000% of the time I get Samantha. It's a curse and a blessing, I think. But if you don't know, Samantha is a fictional character from a show called Sex and the City. And she is the oldest member of the friend group, and she just represents someone who is like the essence of slut camp. Someone who is, one, in her case, like sleeps with a lot of people, but she kind of just embodies this like confidence and like shake ass mentality that I just fucking love. She gives no fucks and she's loyal to her friends. And what more can you ask for in a girly? If you haven't watched the show, that is your homework. If you live in New York City or you're just in your 20s, it's a quintessential show to watch. Samantha is an independent, business savvy lady. Beyond her like sexual escapades and her, basically like insane stories and guys that she sleeps with or situations she gets herself into, at the core of her essence, she is like a go-getter. She's a bad bitch. She owns her own PR agency. She's basically, her career is something that's like typically restricted to men, I would say. Like she has this like je ne sais quoi that like we'd oftentimes associate with men that she has, which I think is really unique about her character because she has this masculinity aspect. Anyways, why am I talking about this? When you talk about friend groups, I feel if you've seen the show, you can point to any one of your friends and be like, you're a blank. If someone says that you're a Carrie, they're not your friend. You can say you're a Carrie, much like you can bully your fucking little brother. But if your friend does it or calls you a Carrie, fire them. Samantha, however, that is me. She is I. She gives no fucks. She knows what she wants, goes for it, doesn't give a fuck who she has to like kill on the way there, basically. And above all, she represents this like masculinity that's oftentimes not portrayed in television or in entertainment, and what we as girls grew up watching and idolizing. For example, like Gossip Girl, or even like the damsel in distress kind of vibe, like in Vampire Diaries or something like that, where it's like the girl is like the victim. She's like, oh, she needs a man to like kind of guide her through her hard times, or maybe her hard times are caused by a man. That's also crazy. But Samantha is kind of like challenges that and is like, no, like I'm my own person. I create my own problems. I love myself. She has this like iconic quote that's like, I love you, but I love me more. And I fucking love that because everyone should think that. Like, it's like you are your own person. You love who you love. You can love your mom. You can love your dad. You can love your husband. You can love your cousin for in fucking Nebraska. I don't know. But you have to love yourself at your core. In order to love anyone else, you have to love yourself at first too. So food for thought. In that sense, I've always been a huge Samantha fan because for this exact reason, I feel like she has this fire, this kind of like sexual spirit. She has this really iconic line. It's like, I'm trisexual, I'll try anything once kind of thing. Like she's very like open to anything. And I feel like that when you restrict yourself, you kind of are restricting your limits mentally, emotionally. Like you kind of want to expand your mind, and she does that. We're going so in depth into this fake fucking person, but like regardless, role model. Like in my 20s, as this was the first time I watched Sex and the City, I feel like it's so developmental and awesome and amazing to watch the show, because you kind of understand how you kind of want to act in your 20s, or how you should or shouldn't, or who you identify with, and how that person is represented in entertainment or in film, because that's how we develop our identities sometimes. We can all pick up on this thing that she's basically saying. Anything she's teaching us is confidence, and it's like why you're the most important person in your own life. Like why people say you're the main character and whatever. Samantha's always, the show is about Carrie. Like it is, she's the main character, she's the narrator, the whole plot is surrounded around her, but Samantha somehow makes her own sub main character where you're kind of attached to her, as we all are to the others. But something that differentiates her is that she makes herself her most important person in her life, and it's so obvious, and it's kind of like, what? That's something that Carrie can never do. Samantha is the OG slut. If I could have anyone on this show, it would be fucking Samantha. Kim Cattrall, please. And this is what I want to project to everyone. It's like, we've heard this before. Women can enjoy sex as much as a man can, or talk about it. There's this movie that I love. If you know me, you know. It's called Cruel Intentions. And one of the main characters basically says women can enjoy sex as much as men, but when we talk about it, it makes us a slut. And that's something that I'm want to kind of talk through and change that like kind of mindset, is like, why is that? And moving forward, can we change that? One of the characters in this movie basically has sex for the first time, and she's like, I enjoyed it, but I feel like and she says, oh, sleep with a lot of people. She's like, well, doesn't that make me a slut? And she's like, everyone does it, nobody talks about it. Those two characters and those two storylines about being slutty, what it means, how we talk about it as culture and entertainment, people talking about it left and right. Slut, again, word, bad connotation. Doesn't have to be. I know that that's changing. I'm acknowledging that it is, but we need to like push it to the other side of the spectrum, where it's like being slutty is the same thing as calling someone like like well-rounded. Like, of course, like we're not there yet, but like we gotta change it. So Cruel Intentions, Sex and the City, home fucking work. Okay, the second topic of this episode, one that I find super fucking interesting and probably applies to a lot of people, because subconsciously, and we'll get into this, but whether you like it or not, women oftentimes take on this like motherly role in relationships, or nurturing kind of role. Not to get psychological on this bitch, but we kind of take on this motherly role innately, and there's a reason for it, and there's also what happens after and how you can get out of it and how you can prevent it from happening in any future relationships, etc. I had it happen in my last relationship, so we'll get into that. But this is the topic. Are you becoming his mother? How to get out of it? How to avoid it? Why do you want that role? Why are you taking it on? I'm projecting to some of my friends listening. Okay. In my first relationship, also when I started therapy, I learned a fuck ton, obviously, but the number one thing and flaw I kept kind of running into, or the base of our kind of arguments, what I talked about a lot in therapy, it was that I was becoming this like motherly figure. I'm so not. I mean, I take this on in a lot of my like friend groups. I feel like I'm oftentimes, people are like, oh, so mommy, like so mother, but like mommy like sexual. This was like mommy like do my fucking laundry kind of thing. You know, like there's a difference. You don't want this. Men do not want this. This is, you know, despite mommy issues, whatever is going on internally. I read this article / there's this podcast that talks about this concept called the maternalizing dynamic. Essentially, in a relationship with a man and a woman, what tends to occur after your so-called honeymoon phase, what tends to occur is that the woman unconsciously, this is what it says, inadvertently begins to take care, quote unquote, of her boyfriend or her partner or whatever in seemingly like kind of like harmless ways. For example, she's taking care of some errands for him, she's cooking for him, she's picking up his dry cleaning, she's driving him to the airport, she's ordering food, she's getting him little like gifts, just simple things here and there you would think nothing of. This is something that I experienced all of the above. I just felt like, oh, this would be so nice and, you know, accommodating of me to do these things because I can and I want to kind of thing. Or so I thought. I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. Let this be a lesson that if you feel yourself falling into this category, why it's bad, why you need to get out of it, because it benefits nobody. Even though that these are nice and caring things to do, you would do it for your friend, you would do it for your family member. When you do it for a man, it's a little bit different. It can lead to a big fucking issue. In turn, when you do all of this and it escalates, maybe you do bigger things for the man, or, you know, things kind of fall into your court where it's expected that you do these things. Men start to feel resentful towards you, babied, emasculated. Ugh. This is the best thing ever when they feel emasculated, but it's not gonna end up good for you. We're getting a little bit psychological, just forewarning, okay? We're getting a little bit scientific, psychological, because I promise it'll all make sense, and we're learning together because we're at camp, place where you learn and get a little slutty. When all of this happens, we have this parent-child relationship that forms. It sounds really weird and like, no, Emma, like, what are you talking about? But like, subconsciously it happens whether you like it or not over time, or maybe this happens right off the bat. Like, it's something where you meet a guy and it's like you do one thing and they have a positive reaction, so you continue to do those things. They're reinforcing your behavior essentially until they're not, until they're like, fuck you, like I have my own mother for this kind of thing. It leads to this, like, again, I said resentment pattern, fighting, breaking up, murder. Doesn't end well, I'll say that. This sucks mainly for women, obviously, because it's very, at the top line of things, it's very confusing because you're like, what the fuck? I worked so hard my entire life growing up, watching these things, learning my independence, learning my self-respect, to not baby a man because you don't need to, and like you shouldn't want to do that or drive yourself to do that. You're obviously independent and slutty and sexy, and you're like, why am I doing this man's fucking laundry? Like, when did I lose myself to this? This is the reason why. Scientifically, you psychologically, subconsciously think that you're helping this man and therefore making your relationship stronger, more promising. And in reality, you surely are not. When you do these behavioral actions and the man is kind of responsible for this behavior that's triggered in your brain, that's just straight up classic mommy fucking issues that the man has. This is like my favorite because it happened to me. If you've ever tried to make a man go to therapy or suggested therapy to them because you went and you have this like great fucking experience and you're like, you have all of this to work on, why don't you go see someone for it? Like, you need someone to talk to, you need to release those emotions. Maybe you even drove him there. Maybe you even set up his appointment. You're entitled to fucking financial compensation because holy fuck, is that like the worst thing you can do? Jesus Christ. The men in return retaliate always because officially you're now their mommy. You set up therapy for them. Congratulations. Therefore, in therapy, they learn things. I had a friend recently say men should never go to therapy because it's the worst thing ever for them. There's like there's a twofold situation here where it's like it could be the best thing ever for them. It could also be the worst thing ever, where they turn around and they're like, oh my God, I'm my most important self. This person, my therapist, is not helping me in any way, shape, or form, and fuck my girlfriend for recommending this to me, kind of thing. Like, you could basically be like stabbing yourself in the back. Psychologically, how to avoid something like this, or how to just kind of get out of this rhythm of falling into these behavioral patterns where it's like, set aside the notion of like love languages. It's not about that. It's something deeper. It's something more consistent and effective in a bad way, where it becomes a pattern, this habitual thing that you're repeating over and over again, and it becomes normal between you and your partner, and then until it reaches their breaking point. Think about how men kind of view women as, in some cases, especially when you first start seeing a guy, they're stupid, but they're not that stupid. Like, they're kind of seeing how malleable you are, how far backwards you're willing to bend for them until you break. And in this case, you're kind of reworking that by being like, no, I have control of the situation because I'm doing all these nice things for him. Therefore, he has to return the favor. Therefore, this parent-child disciplinary relationship forms where positive, negative reinforcement, blah, blah, blah. You took psychology, you don't need to know. The way to avoid this as women, it's not our job to do a man's laundry. It's not your job to give him a gift. It's not your job to, of course, there are times you can go out of your way to be like, oh, he would like this, give it to him, whatever. It's not your job to go to drive him to the airport, pick up his laundry. It shouldn't be like something that you think like, oh, he's going to get mad at me if I don't do this thing, because then it becomes behavior that they don't fucking like. And you won't like it either. That's the most important part. So as women, we have to kind of, there's a way to get out of it if you're in it. If you're in deep and you're like, fuck, this is bad, I can't get out of this pattern, lean into your, honestly, your sex appeal, your charm, this like erotic nature that you have as a woman. And it's more so like your inner outer slut, as we've talked about in the first episode, less into the need to perform acts of service for him that can easily, very quickly turn into mommying behaviors. Basically, like, have this mentality that you're your own fucking mommy. He doesn't need you to do all of these things for you. He can do them his fucking self. He's a person with arms and legs and a dick. He can walk, he can talk, he can do it himself. You know what I'm saying? And as someone with mommy fucking issues, I put this shit together right away when I was in therapy, like realizing this. Going forward in relationships, if you ever start to see this pattern or this kind of habitual cycle of doing things for a man, then you know you're becoming his mother and you're gonna break up. You're gonna break up. I'm just saying. I'm not so Raven. I see into the future. So happened to me. It's gonna happen to you. Last topic. Oh my God. Enough with the science and the psychology. It's like, honestly, it's bringing my vibes down. Okay, let's re-up back to the main third and final topic: how to implement dirty fucking talk. This is a topic that's going to put the slut in slut camp. Dirty talk is interesting. I feel that not everyone uses it for a multitude of reasons. Maybe you don't like it, maybe you don't feel comfortable, maybe it's like not something that you feel like you need in order to have an orgasm. Regardless of the reason, in today's activity in camp, we're going to talk about filthy, dirty, slutty talk. Okay. In the bedroom and also out. Sexting is involved. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Hot take maybe, but also I don't give a fuck. Listen. The classic, like, you feel so good and don't stop. It's not doing it for me. It's been used. He's heard it before. You've said it before. Yawn. I'm exhausted. Tired of hearing it. It's done. Cut it out. It's the same thing as lying there like a dead fish, I would say. Woo, don't come for me. You want them to quite literally be like clenching their fucking dick shut to resist the nut, okay? How? I'm gonna tell you. What would I be? Why would I set you up like that if I'm gonna fucking tell you? Men essentially want to hear a story, a soliloquy, a monologue. And what I mean by this is a sentence that's longer than 10 words. I'll give you an example. You put throbbing, sliding, pussy, cock, or dick, whatever you like to say. I know women have preferences, okay? Pound, other verbs like so into a sentence, and add a little eye rolling, moaning, whatever bodily responses that come out of you. Of course, none of this is fake. Wink. And you got yourself a fucking deal, okay? Done deal. That's all you need to do. Those words I just said, put them in a sentence, ad libs, mad libs, we've done it before, execute. You've got yourself a nut. Most girls, and this is honestly something that my friends come to me a lot about. I'm like, okay, what do you guys think about me? But no, they come to me a lot about dirty talk because there's this like fear of sounding maybe stupid or weird or like nervous or just like, oh my God, are they gonna stop because I said something fucking weird? You have to kind of just get rid of this thing in your head that's telling you it's weird, it's bizarre, it's making you embarrassed or whatever. It's not. Like 10 out of 10 times, they're literally not like fucking hearing what you're saying, or they're just kind of like focusing on like their dead grandma or something so that they don't come. Like that's the reality of the situation. This is something I've been telling my friends recently, and it's kind of gotten like jaw drops because it's like, what the fuck? I have been saying to multiple men, or however long I've been saying this, I don't even know, but it works every fucking time, guaranteed. Ownership. Okay. You own this pussy, or fuck this pussy like it's yours. It sounds crazy. I know. I don't hear it. Obviously they don't own your puss. Like the fuck? What is this? Like the 1800s? Like no, like they don't own shit, but they love to hear it. I think what does it is that like they get the property, the rights. They get the ownership. It sounds so fucked up and weird when you think about it like that. But regardless of that, it's not the deeper cut, the surface level. You say that, they freak the fuck out. It's like a thing. It's the same reason that I think women like possessive boyfriends, I would say. There's a lot of ways to incorporate dirty talk into the bedroom or kind of make it a part of your routine, a part of something that you do when you fuck, essentially. But it's not necessary or required. It adds a je ne sais quoi, as I've been saying. Adds a little something. Ultimately, it's for you to feel sexier. It's for, yourself to feel good. Again, if they come in 3 seconds, props to you. If they do it multiple times, not good dick, get them out. Questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I have more lines. Maybe I'll bring them forward in future episodes. I think that's all I have for today in today's episode. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. If you're listening, I am so excited for what's to come, and thank you for just listening to me yap for so fucking long. I appreciate it. Love y'all. I can't believe we're I can't believe we're in love. Okay. That's it. Suck a little dick if you're nasty, and no tears. Wet pussy. Anyway. Bye, sluts.